announcement. Air Asia is going to Hawaii!
I co-founded it 15 years ago. I actually came from the music business. I really loved Laker. I thought they were so innovative with their Skybus, $59 fare from London to New York. So I went out to Luton Airport, which is the third London airport, and I saw people flying all over Europe for £8 and £7 and stuff. And I thought, what a great idea. So I decided to start an airline. There's a very fine line between brilliance and stupidity, but I thought, well, if I fail, I'll go do something else. So I came back to Malaysia and I bought a kind of failing airline for 25 cents called Air Asia. Had 2 planes and 254 staff, if I remember correctly, from a government kind of linked company in Malaysia, and took on 10 million of debt and signed the deal 3 days before 9/11. So I took over Air Asia on September the 8th, 2011. And over the last 15 years, we have kind of changed aviation in our part of the world. We've gone from 2 planes in September. Well, actually, physically took over the airline on December the 8th. I needed 2 months because I was actually remortgaging my house to get some working capital for the airline. So on December the 8th, 2001, we took over Air Asia with 2 planes and 254 terrified staff who had only seen me on music TV shows. And now I was their new owner of their airline. And over the last 15 years, we've gone from 2 planes to now we have 210 aircraft. And this year we'll carry 63 million people, making us the 4th largest airline in Asia. Only the 3 Chinese airlines are larger than us. And we basically have 2 major groups. We have Air Asia, which is like the southwest of Asia, doing up to 4 hours. And what we've been able to do is, I came up with a tagline, now everyone can fly. Because one of the first statistics I saw was only 6% of Malaysians flew. And now everyone dares fly with our kind of airfares. And we, of our route structure, we're in 125 places. 60% are routes that were never done by any full service carrier. And then, because Asia is much larger and there's no road and rail, we came up with Air Asia X, which is our long haul low cost carrier. We're kind of the first to kind of pioneer that. So Air Asia is up to 4 hours and Air Asia X is 4 hours and above. And right now, at about 10 hours is our longest route. We've won the world's best low-cost carrier 8 years in a row. We've always said even though our fares are low, it doesn't cost anything to smile and be nice. And I think we have wonderful crew and wonderful staff. So, but you know, talk is cheap. I hope all of you can fly with us at some point, and then you can be your own judge on whether we're good or not. And we keep our fares low through high efficiency, a great culture. We have 20,000 staff and not a single union. It's kind of a family-oriented company, even though it's got very big, and that's been able to make us very efficient. We've had 1 type of aircraft through that time. We're all Airbus at the moment, and there are hundreds of other reasons why we're here. Well, principally here today, I came to the Milken conference, and ironically, you know, suddenly all my music friends realized I was here. So in the morning I've been doing all this Milken stuff and trying to be serious. In the evening I've been with Lionel Richie and David Foster and all my old colleagues. Again, only those with a certain age group will understand who I'm talking about. But I've had a lot of fun in LA over the last 3 days. It's been Asian people. Yeah. Over the last 3
Lionel
days.
Richie, sells out the Hollywood Bowl every year.
I know. Yeah, he told me that. He reminded me that today. So
he sent George to remind you about it.
No. I went to one of his concerts, so it was cool.
So David's actually become an ambassador. I just said to him today, we'll paint a plane in your honor. We're going to call it the FOS 143, and I'm going to put a keyboard in that plane. And then he said, can I have a bigger one? So we can give him an A330. But we're principally here today because we've taken a kind of big step in our life to as you probably know, to fly to Hawaii. We were thrilled to get permission to come to the USA, and we start our first flight on June 28th. The response has been unbelievable, actually. We never realized it would be as great as it was. So we do Kuala Lumpur, Osaka, Hawaii. The beauty, and we're also appealing to, hopefully, and what we've seen from our sales is many Americans actually are using us to come down to Asia, because we have a very deep network once you arrive in KL or Bangkok to fly to different parts of Southeast Asia. But it's been so much fun here that I kind of mentioned to my staff 2 days ago, and I mentioned to the press, one press, just a few hours ago, that we're going to start looking at flying to LA and New York. So again, we would go via Japan and Korea to get to LA, and probably stop somewhere in Europe and come to New York. The response really has surprised me, and I think, you know, if more people fly to each other's places, who knows what can go from there. We've been a big believer in connecting communities, and without sounding like a Miss Universe, hopefully Air Asia can make the world a little bit smaller and a little less confrontational as we get people flying around to each other. So that's principally why we're here. We hope all of you will come and visit us at some point. Obviously, you'll all be invited to our inaugural flight, which will have a very strong music launch on the 28th. I've roped in a lot of my old gang to come down, and then hopefully soon after that, I would imagine New York would come first, and then Los Angeles. We would start flying to Europe. So it'll also give an alternative to Americans to get to Europe, a different kind of airfare structure, and to Asia and Japan. So that's really about it. Bird flu, SARS, tsunami, earthquakes, national carriers doing their best to put me out of business, Singapore Airlines of the world, and Malaysian Airlines, all the Arab airlines. High oil, low oil, credit crises. Music has always been a big part. When oil was high, we play the blues. When oil is low, we play rock and roll. So we've always found a way, and I think that's what's great about our little airline, which has now become a big airline. You know, I'll tell you a couple of stories that kind of typify our kind of fighting spirit. During SARS, I don't know if you remember SARS, but it was kind of like everyone thought they'd die if they flew. And we'd only had about 10 or 11 planes at the time, and most airlines cut their advertising. And so I went to my team and I said, triple our advertising now. And they kind of looked at me like, what drugs are you taking? And I said, here's a great time to build our brand, because no one else is advertising. Plus, I knew Malaysians very well. If you put a fare low enough, they'll risk their lives. At 800 ringgit, no, I'm not flying. At 80 ringgit, who cares? And we actually built our brand and kicked it off there. And then a few years later, you know, a lot of terrorism happened, and a huge bomb in Bali. A lot of people were canceling their flights. And I said to my team, we can't let the Balinese down. We've made tons of money from them. This is the time they need us the most. So we did a Love Bali campaign and gave away 5,000 free seats. And they were sold in like 10 minutes. And again, my Malaysian brothers didn't let me down. Give a free seat, and we're not scared of bombs. But the great thing about that was the 5,000 people who went out there said, hey, Bali's fine. And you know, they came back and told another 5,000 or 10,000 or 15,000 people. And you know, we've done things like when the tsunami happened in Indonesia and wiped out Aceh. I mean, really wiped it out. I've never seen anything like it in my life. It was like a nuclear bomb had dropped on Aceh. We decided to start a flight there straight after the tsunami, which has been one of our most successful flights going through there. And we've gone into troubled areas through insurgency, because we believe connecting people is the best way to engage as opposed to ostracizing. So that's it. I'll let you get back to your drinks. We hope to welcome you all to our launch in Hawaii. It will be fun. And again, we'd love you to meet the airline and fly with us, and talk is cheap. It's better for you to come and see us, and come and see us in Malaysia and see what we're all about. I've got to say, I've had a lot of fun here over the last 3 days. America's Michael Milken's been asking me to come to this conference for a long time. And every time I say yes, and I think, my God, it's a far, far way to come to LA. But I've had so much fun that we think we want to really push America. We want people from our part of the world to see America, and obviously you guys to come and see our amazing part of the world. Within 4 hours of America, with all due respect, it's more or less the same. But within 4 hours of Asia, there is so much difference in Malaysia. You look at the different cultures in Thailand, in Indonesia, Philippines, China, etc., etc.
You haven't been to Texas.
I haven't. Let me tell you a story. Since we're on that, and this had a major part in why I started the airline. So I did really badly in my exams at school because my parents wanted me to be a doctor, and I had zero intention of doing it. So I literally failed my exams. I just wrote my name on the paper, and my father disowned me, and I decided I'm going to go to America. So just to take a year out. And I flew in an airline called Trans-America. And 2 days before I was supposed to fly, it went bust. And I ended up on Delta, I think. And I flew to Boston. And we got friendly with the crew who invited us to a place called Peabody. And we looked at the map and thought, we're such idiots actually. We thought, oh, that's not too far away from New York. Actually, we arrived in New York going to Peabody. It took us like 7 hours or something to get there. And then I worked my way down from New York down to Florida, and I got all kinds of jobs. And because I had a slight English accent and I looked Indian, everyone kind of offered me a job, right? And I ended up actually, my favorite job was third relief organ player at the Boston Red Sox. I'm a keyboard player, which was, I only did it once. Roger Clemens was then the hero at Boston Red Sox. And then I thought, I want to see what the other side of America is. And I had one last Greyhound ticket. And again, I thought, I can't be that far away. So I went from Miami to San Francisco.
Oh my God! On Greyhound?
And what an asshole I was. 3.5 days later, I arrived in San Francisco. And I think that was the final straw, and I thought I'm going to start an airline now. But it was an interesting journey through America, going through Texas, etc., etc. And I think Greyhound put their bus stations, this was the early 80s, in probably the worst places ever.
They still are.
They still are. So it was quite an experience. And all these things have led up to me wanting to start an airline. It's always been in my brain from like 5 years old. My mother used to sell Tupperware. She could sell ice to an Eskimo, and she would be flying around all over Malaysia. And the thrill was to go and pick her up at the airport. And me and my dad would go 6 hours before the plane arrived to watch the 3 aircraft that would arrive in those 6 hours. And I always tell my dad I want to start an airline. So dreams do come true. I always tell my staff, dream, because who knows? From some dreams will come some reality. And I never would have believed when I started Air Asia, I'd be talking about a flight to Hawaii and later on to Los Angeles. So we hope you come and visit us. We hope you like our product, and we hope you'll help us in promoting our service to your citizens, and we hope you enjoy coming out to us. Thank you very much. Thank you.